page 89. Would you expect the following methods to give an accurate measurement? If we're interested in accuracy, right? What are two things we're looking for to say that this measurement is accurate? Two things. Is that on your study sheet, maybe? What's that? Precision, what are you saying? Not here, not in this case. Two things. Come on. Yeah. Standard unit, yes. So the unit or the device you use has to have standard units. So standard, right? Teaspoon, cup, centimeters, inches. Or you're using a ruler, right? If you're using a ruler, it's also technically a standard device. And what else? Anybody? It should be on your study sheet at this point. Well, somebody said scale. Yeah, Gina, where is? Yeah, okay, thank you. So you should put that on your study sheet. Unit and scale. Is it appropriate? Okay. That's what this question is asking you. You have to make reference to both of these. Okay? Otherwise you're not going to get the mark. Okay, so measuring the amount of water in a tub using a tablespoon. So water in a tub, so it's quite a bit of water, right? And a tablespoon. So the unit is standard. So we go check. Is the scale appropriate in this case? Using a teaspoon to empty or to measure? It's like, here, Mark, take the spoon and measure how many teaspoons are in the tub. See you next week, right? By the time he's done, it'll be next week. So it's not appropriate. And worse yet, if Mark is done in a week from now, and I give it to Ryvan, it's like, hey, Ryvan, take this teaspoon, now you measure. You think Ryvan will get the same measurement as Mark? There's a big chance that you won't, because it'll be like, what, 1 million teaspoons in that bathtub, more or less? I don't know. I've never tried it. Maybe homework, you try it. Don't waste water. So anyway, so it's not appropriate. So check mark for standard unit, not good in terms of scale, therefore not accurate. Because remember, you should be able to repeat that measurement over and over again. And the fact that you're using a teaspoon is not going to help you. What should you use instead? What would have been a good one to use instead of a teaspoon? A bucket? But it would have to be marked in liters or something, right? So let's say you use a 25-liter bucket. Absolutely, you got it. Okay, next page, 90. You're on page 90. Measuring the thickness of a piece of sheet metal using a meter stick. The unit is standard. We all know what a meter stick is. It's the same here. It's the same in England. It's the same in, right, in the Philippines. Meter is a meter, right? Check. Would this be an appropriate tool to be using for a piece of sheet metal? Sheet metal, depending on the size, but it's probably just as thick as this, right? Would a meter stick do a good job? It would be terrible, because you actually need to be very precise. What should you use instead? A caliper, right? Remember this? It will get it right down to, because it actually matters. Like if it's just a little bit thicker, it might not be appropriate for the job. Yeah. You use one? Probably. Yeah, you probably use it for whatever you're working on, right? So scale of measuring device, not appropriate. Therefore, not accurate. So scale fails, unit checks out, but you need to have check and check for you to be able to say accurate. Okay, next, determine the heat of a liquid using a thermometer. We all know that thermometer is a thermometer, so the unit is a check. It could be Celsius, Fahrenheit, doesn't really matter. We've got that. Would that be, in this case, liquid? We don't know how much, but it doesn't really matter. It could be a big drum or it could be a small bucket. A thermometer is a thermometer, correct? So scale, in this case, we would say is also good. Therefore, accurate. We could talk about inappropriate use of a thermometer. Should you just measure the water by just putting it right at the top and then taking it out and reading it? What should you be doing? Alan, so what should you be doing? Keep it in the water for a significant amount of time and probably stir it, right? Stir your water. So if you have a hot tub and you measure just the top, of course it's going to be nice and warm. The cold is going to be at the bottom, right? So you turn on the jets or something, it's like, okay, now it's good. All right. Let's keep going. 4. Examine the following measurement. What's the precision of this device? Based on what we see, it is 1 centimeter, just one. The precision is to the closest centimeter. I will actually say to the nearest centimeter. That's all we've got. It's limited. B is saying what's the length of the measured item, including its uncertainty. I will, because this is asking for uncertainty, I will figure it out right here. Right? Uncertainty is always half of your precision. What's the length of the measured item? So you go measure it from here all the way to there. Based on this ruler, you only have 2 options, 10 or 11. It's closer to 11. I know that you're saying, no, Mr. Dirksen, I'd probably say it's more like 10 and a half. Yeah. Right, that's what we would do. But this is just a very exaggerated example of what actually happens in real life. Even if you have something very precise, there's a point where you have to kind of just guess. So we say, based on this ruler, you only have 10 or 11. And then we will say this, plus or minus the uncertainty. Right? So you're saying that it would be 11, could be greater, which is obviously not. We look at the pencil, or it could be less. Right? So this makes up for it. Could be as short as 10 and a half or as long as 11 and a half. Okay? It's kind of a weird concept, but you just have to kind of just focus on this unit and what are we doing on this unit, right? So a nurse is filling a syringe with medicine for a patient. The dose required is 24 milliliters. The syringe is marked in 2 milliliter units. That should right away ring an alarm right there, marked. That always trumps everything else for precision. So the precision, in this case, is 2 milliliters. The uncertainty is 1 milliliter. That's it. Anybody know how many milliliters are in a dosage of Pfizer? 0.5 milliliters. So this is obviously like medicine, like if you do Tylenol or whatever, if you have little kids, you gotta they get the liquid Tylenol, right? So you just gotta measure it with a syringe. So, but an actual vaccine would have a lot less than 24. 24, you'd feel it pretty good. What are the maximum minimum amounts that could be in the syringe? This is how we do this. We take our measurement. This is what we're aiming for, but it could be over and under by 1 milliliter. So that's where you get the max and the min. The max is 25. I don't think I need to add, right? I don't need to show that part. And this would be 23. So we are saying that there's a chance that even though you're aiming for 24, based on the syringe you used, you could be anywhere in between these two values. There's a bit of a margin of error. So even when you get your shot, right, the nurse, right, they take that from the vial, they try their best, they get the air out, and they think this is 0.5, but it's always a little bit off, but that's okay. They've picked a dose that kind of makes up for you being off by a little bit, okay? All right, that's it. So just make sure you close this, just have the top part facing up.